I am live, and what a privilege to be live. I am always waiting for that button, which means I just need to stay here in suspended animation until Facebook tells me it's safe. This is Lace Watkins, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer and Executive Chef of the Lace on Race Center for Racial Equity, commonly known as Lace on Race. It is such a privilege to be here with you yet again on Juneteenth. There's so much I want to give you today, but before I go to a celebration with Black and Brown activists, thinkers, service workers, and people who have made East County a better place for Black and Brown people here in San Diego. I cannot wait to go to that gathering. I can't believe I was invited. So I'm excited about that. But I've got a few minutes before I need to go into the truck to talk to you about standing on the shoulders of giants as I commemorate and think about Juneteenth. It's no secret. It's no secret that very little of what I say is entirely original. I mean, I like to think that I amalgamate and synthesize and make connections. But there have been so many people I have met in my own life, and also people who have mentored me through their words and through their videos, who have influenced my life and my thought process, and in the process has made me a better thinker, a better commentator, a better woman. One of these women that I am so grateful to be able to be an, dare I say, acolyte of, is Dr. Frances Cress Welsin, who we're going to talk about right now. Along with other people that you may not have heard of had it not been for Lace on Race: Claudia Rankin, Ruby Sales, Stephen L. Carter. It is important to note that there are more people than the media would have you think in terms of commentators and thinkers on the subject of racial justice. Now, I affirm all the ones that the media has decided to pay attention to, but sometimes it's important. Sometimes it's really important to look at the white spaces. It's easy enough to do when we think about who's not at the table in terms of an all-white table where there are no BIPOC. It's easy to go, oh, we need more Black people at this table. We need more people speaking up. We need differing perspectives. That's true. But as we go deeper and deeper into Juneteenth, and like I told you, there are 5 essays, Juneteenth 365, that'll be coming at you very soon, one of which will be tonight, is the fact that our idea of freedom has been truncated, sometimes by the government, sometimes by the media. In the case of Juneteenth, I would venture to say both. It's not just enough to have Black people and brown people at the table. There needs to be a wide array, a spectrum of Black voices at the table. Voices that you would not normally hear of. And those are the voices that influenced the influencers that you see most of the time. This is a really big deal. One of the things I always do when I'm reading a book by a popular author is I run to the bibliography. I want to see who influenced them. Whether it was from 200 years ago, 50 years ago, or their book came out last year. That's important. A lot of times thinkers and influencers do what I try to do, make some difficult concepts more accessible to a generalized audience. But that doesn't mean that we don't look at the influencers and thinkers and commentators, the ethicists and the theologians and the sociologists that got us to this present day, that allow us to use all of our faculties, not just our heads, not just our hearts, not just our guts, but a combination of all three that get you to the structure and the meat and the bones, the skeleton, if you will, of critical thought over the issue of race. And I think if they have one thing to say to you all during this 365 Juneteenth series, it's that we have both the right and the responsibility, the freedom and the accountability, and dare I say, the constraint of bringing all our faculties and being able to look at some of the harder things. When it comes to theory and praxis, there are some things that simply cannot be distilled down into a 5-minute soundbite or a colorful meme. Whenever I see memes, in fact, I always want to see what came before the meme and what came after it. What's the full context of what the thinker or writer or commentator or speaker is saying? Here is a risk taker. And I think that that is important to talk about. Dr. Welsin, as you will see, I'm going to link the YouTube down below. I can't do it while I'm doing a live, so after the live is over, I'll drop it in. The very first thing she said in the video that I'm going to be presenting to you is how many people told her not to give the lecture she ultimately gave. She was going to give a whole nother lecture, but something moved her in 2014. Something moved her to ditch her notes and start fresh. And apparently, it was so incendiary, so provocative, that people urged her not to do it. They urged her not to do it for her academic safety, and they urged her not to do it maybe even for her physical safety. But you know what? That is where risk lies. Pushing the envelopes, pushing the boundaries of what is accepted thought. And this goes to Juneteenth in this way. Just as it's important to have Black and brown people at any given table, it's important to have a spectrum of Black and brown people at any given table. Because we are not a monolith. And that is a lot of times what's missing when we talk about representation. Representation matters. Representation is a very big deal. I'm for it. Give me representation. But it's got to be comprehensive representation. 20 people basically saying the same thing is representation of a sort, but you also need to think about who has not been invited to the table or whose thoughts are being influenced by those at the table, but their names aren't referenced. I think about that a lot. Lace on Race has been influential in its way, but very few people know my name. Very few people would attribute certain ideas that I have put forth to me, and guess what? I can live with that. What I want is to move the needle. And when I think about the generosity, of these thinkers and commentators and speakers who are thinkers, right? They're sociologists. They're theologians. Those are the outliers where true change happens and where true change matters. I think it's wonderful that as time progresses, what is considered to be outlying on the tail ends of what is considered conventional wisdom and conventional thought become more and more mainstream. The problem is that the opposite is true too, because, as someone who is told almost daily how many detractors she has, people who push the envelope, people who think outside boxes or refuse to believe that boxes exist, are the ones that are commonly derided. It's too far. It's too much. You make too many people uncomfortable. Think about your reputation. But these people are not thinking about their reputation so much as they're thinking about their legacy. I am going to say that twice because I think it's so important. They're not thinking about their reputation. Whether or not their peers will give them likes and hearts, whether or not their followers or their readers or their watchers will give them a thumbs up and give them enough page views and eyeballs in order to monetize. They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about the legacy that they leave. When we think about what we know, and even when we think about what we think we know, gun to their head, you would be hard-pressed to be able to talk about the OG, the originator of the school of thought that you ascribe to. This is huge. This is huge. If I give you nothing else during this Juneteenth 365 series, which we will be interspersing with Applied Relational Ethics, Scanlon, and Stephen L. Carter, and the like, which we will be interspersing with Applied Relational Ethics as it pertains to this community, it is important to know where I get the thoughts I get in my noggin. Partially, it's because as one of these supposed outliers, people can say, well, no one thinks like that, therefore it's invalid. People have said this about some of the most, and I'm not putting myself in that category. I have neither the arrogance nor the hubris to put myself in that category. But people who are saying things that are novel are often the ones that are the most derided or ignored or minimized. There is a saying in the labor movement, of which I am a part. I still consider myself part of SEIU Local 221. And it talks about, first, they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they persecute you, then you win. We can think about that in terms of innovative thought as well. Pretty much everything that we think of in terms of conventional wisdom in 2022 when it comes to issues of racial justice and when it comes to issues of social justice in general have their birth in outlying people and outlying movements. This needs to be remembered and respected, particularly on this day of Juneteenth, when we talk about who did what to whose benefit. In the other video that I did earlier today, I talked about how it is an absolute untruth that white people, in this case Union soldiers in Galveston, Texas, were the ones who did the heavy lifting on race and freedom. That's also true for Emancipation Day, because when you hear or when you think about emancipation, you think Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. That's it, full stop. But you're not talking about literally the centuries of black resistance in the fields and the intellectual, ethical, moral, and theological heritage and legacy that hundreds upon hundreds and thousands of black names that you will never know gave to the conversation that made the critical mass. We also need to talk about the fact that Abraham Lincoln's move was at best cynical. Nice outcome. I mean, thank you. I can go and get a 49-cent soda at Chevron now. That's nice. But he did not make the move he made out of any particular love of or respect towards the people he ultimately freed with the stroke of a pen. And even when we think about the shoulders of admitted giants, Phyllis Wheatley, Frederick Douglass, even Garrison, those are the names that we know. Let me put it to you another way. Those are the names we're allowed to know. So whenever I am looking at historical writings, whenever I am looking at the culmination of a school of thought, I honor and respect and am grateful for the people whose names were put forth back in the day as well as in the present day or the near past, such as, say, during what is considered the civil rights era from 1954 up until the present day. I'm grateful for every name that I know. They deserve every ounce of affirmation and approbation and praise and honor as they moved us to Juneteenth 2022. But I'm also aware that for every name I know, for every name that I know, there are hundreds I won't know. And I need to honor them too. We've talked about this during Black History Month, where we talk about notables. And one of the things that I think has been innovative at Welsin Race is that, yes, we talk about notables, but we also bring you people who you might never have heard of. That's a big deal. And so as I bring to you Dr. Cress Welsin, I want you to think about how her words, prophetic words that she's bringing to you in this video today, has informed the current state of racial justice, both in terms of praxis internally and also institutionally and structurally. So what I'm going to do, in addition to applied relational ethics, in addition to how we live with and relate to and engage with each other in this space, to honor those that came before in service to the North Star, lessening and mitigating the harm endured by Black and brown people, perpetuated by white people and white supremacy. As we do all of this, all at once, we need to remember that we are standing on the shoulders of giants that brought us to this day, and that we have a holy obligation to read them, to internalize them, to inculcate them, and to build upon them. Anything less is a travesty. Anything less is a denigration of and disrespecting to this federal holiday. So I will bring you people whom you may never have heard of. But not just so we can say, hey, but it's so that we can have a more fuller and complete picture of in our heads, and a bigger and fuller and complete charge to action, both in our internal lives, which is where we focus at Welsin Race, and in our external praxis, which our internal lives will help us to do more reliably and effectively. So I give you all, on this very first Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, I give you Dr. Cress Welsin. I want you to pull out things that resonate with you the most and lay them in the comments. When I come back from my event, I will add my own. And this is for Vicki very specifically. By the time I'm done, I will have the first essay up and ready to go during Juneteenth 365. You know, I was feeling really, really bad because that fool's errand that I had, really, Lace, you really are going to write 1,200 words that took a lot of research 5 times, between 8,000 and 10,000 words, in 4 days. Who was I kidding? There's just too much. There's just too much. And I have gone down quite happily. I have gone down many rabbit holes in terms of researching what I'm learning and what I want to share with you. And also, I have spent lots and lots of time thinking between my brain how to give it to you in a way that will be engaging and that will stick to your ribs. Juneteenth is important. It is a very important day. It's important that it's been recognized, but it is still only one day. Who are we going to be in the other 364 days? That's where it matters, y'all. As I said in the earlier video today, and if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's there. As I've said to people, not just white people, but particularly to white people, but as I've said, have you earned the right to celebrate today? Do you want to get closer to earning the right to celebrate today? The way that you do it is by your interior work and your exterior praxis, standing on and acknowledging and affirming the shoulders upon which both your theory and your practicum are based. We're going to be doing this a lot more, and I can't tell you how excited I am. But first, we get to listen to Dr. Francis and learn from her and honor the risk she took, and it was a risk, in giving this lecture. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. If you like this content and you'd like more of it, please do consider contributing to and financially engaging with the Lace on Race Center for Racial Equity. We'll put details on that below. If not me, one of leadership team. I'll make sure that I put the link to the video below as soon as I'm done with this. And like, heart, share, subscribe, do it all on all the platforms where you see me. And again, remember that this is not just for instruction, certainly not for entertainment. What this is for you to be able to add to your tool belts so you become ever more effective and ever more reliable in the pursuit of racial justice. That's why I wake up in the morning, and I want you there too. Thank you.